the end of Christmas. So if you've still got your decorations up, today's a good day to put them away. That's not very far away. Today, as we celebrate the feast of the presentation of our Lord, we look particularly at Luke, who presents to us a fulfillment that the Jews had to do in terms of the law. You heard that several times, which reminds us, that Mary and Joseph could have opted out and said, well, we don't need that because there's no need for purification of the Son of God himself. But they kept the law. They kept the law as a sign for us to follow the example, also keeping God's laws in our life, especially in regard to our young people. But as we look at them, we say, well, what law was this? Because there's 5 times in Scripture that we see Jesus really coming to the temple having to do with the Passover. 3 of them will be at his last 3 years of public life. But in his childhood, today is one of them. Not directly Passover, but referring to Passover. As we look at the command of the law was that you commit the firstborn of every creature that you have to the Lord. Firstborn of your calves, your cattle, the first produce of your flowers, of your garden. All of this was to go to the Lord. And so the first child, especially male, was seen as very important because it was a reminder of what? A reminder of Egypt. What happened in Egypt? Passover? The firstborn in every household was killed by the angel of death. Firstborn of all. And so it was a reminder to the Jews that the firstborn belongs to God. And you can either bring him to the temple and leave him, like Samuel maybe. Please don't do that. Or you can redeem that child. And I don't mean by redemption, spiritual redemption, but physically redeem them by offering poor people 2 turtle doves. And you take the child back home with you. But you'd always remember that that child belongs to the Lord. So it's dedicated in a special way. It's amazing how many priests are firstborn sons in their family today. But looking at this call here, it's a reminder to all of us. In some way, as we face Jesus in his infant years, we see a couple of laws being carried out. One is, of course, circumcision happened on the 8th day when he became a part of the Jewish people. Anyone who's not circumcised on the 8th day says, you shall be cut off from that people. So the 8th day was real important. And then on the 40th day, remind him of the 40 years of the desert, you were dedicated to God. So you and I look and say, wow, Jesus came to fulfill the law, not to destroy it. So if Jews became a Jew at 8 days, you see how Jesus opened it up to all of us at any time when we become baptized, even as infants, we belong to the Lord. Not just the firstborn, but every child, having been baptized, belongs to the Lord. Today, we continue this journey looking at the infant Jesus in the temple now. What do we find with that? Certainly, if it's Passover, the next line, matter of fact, after the scripture today, says he was 12 years old, and he was taken into the temple. And so being brought into the temple then, he's no longer a child. That's not part of our child story. He's 12 years old. And 12 means he's taking his bar mitzvah, a little bit young, and now his adult life begins as a Jew. So this is the last of the child events in his life. So think about that today in terms of our own need to raise our children in the ways of the Lord. Raise our children knowing themselves how to respond to God's commands. In other words, how to develop a good conscience is what we're looking at. Developing a good conscience so that in every aspect of life we know how to behave, how to be a light in the world. And that's what leads us into seeing Mary today. So Luke is good about leading us on that journey with Mary. He said, and the sword shall also pierce your heart. Reminding us of what? The beginning of the gospel, the heart pierced. The end of the gospel, the heart of Jesus is pierced. That when I am lifted up, I will draw all people to myself. And so he reminds us one more time of really the Eucharist. This is blood that we receive in the blood of Christ. And then we continue this journey, if you will, to think about how you and I are called to live out our commitment. And today we've got a very special day. Today we've got whole partners coming into the church. He's been studying the faith for quite some time. But he knows that the fullness of faith resides here within the Catholic Church, that Christ established. And so as we look at that today, one of the important things we have to remember, and of course all of you, that's why you received a candle at the beginning of the Mass. It's also called Candlemas Day. You know, why Candlemas? Because Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is the light of the world. And when you and I got baptized, each one of us received a candle. He said, keep this candle lit so that you may also be a light in the world. One of the things that as Christians, sometimes we fail to do, we think that being a Christian is just me and Jesus. You know, me and Jesus got a good thing going, and we don't need to worry about others. Well, that would be a real heresy, if you will. One of the things that happens, and I like to show up when we baptize several children, you say, yeah, I'm the light of the world. You know, and children like to sing, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You know, and then this person is the light of the world. You know, and say, okay, that's neat. There's 2 different candles there. You know, and we keep baptizing and say, look at that. 3 little lights. But what happens when you put those lights together? What happens when you put them together? It's a reminder to us that all of us, we're not individually united to Christ, but we are united to Christ together, who is the light of the world. And as such, we give light in the world when we remain united, remain one in Christ. So, again, with your baptism, remember, it's called to keep that light of Christ always burning brightly. Today, of course, this is still your desire to come into the fullness of faith. I invite